Hey y'all, as some of you may know from previous videos, one of the things that I do is Cerakoting, and Cerakoting involves a lot of prep work for it to be done correctly. It's got to be absolutely clean, completely degreased, and one of the things that I despise purchasing because of the cost and the waste is acetone. For argument's sake, let's say this right here, this 1 gallon can of acetone is about $15. And it's not much if you think about it, if you're putting a little spray bottle and just doing a little here and a little there. But when I've got something like this, it's a good example, that I've got to soak for a good amount of time to make sure that all of the oils and greases dissolved and able to be cooked off and dispersed, it requires quite a bit of acetone. I mean, you can reuse it, but I found the trouble with this, even after opening it and putting it in vats and sealing it back up, the stuff just still seems to evaporate. I continue to use it, and it's great for its purpose. It's awesome for little small things. But what I have found that is saving me a bunch of money is super clean. One of the great benefits about this is it's not nearly as toxic as this stuff here is. In all honesty, it takes a little bit longer for it to work than the acetone, but gallon per gallon, these are about the same cost. However, I rarely use this straight. I will dilute this up to 8-to-1. For really bad stuff, I may go straight. Generally, what I do is 3 or 4 to 1. 3 or 4 parts of water to 1 part of this. You can see how that saves you some money. And it doesn't evaporate like acetone does, and you can still reuse it. So there's not going to be a great demonstration of me putting this in here and it miraculously cleaning. I mean, that doesn't happen. But my point in this short little video is, if you have a lot of cleanup work and you want something that's versatile, will do the job, can be saved, you might want to look into using something like this. I mean, as you know, you can get this in the spray bottles, spray it on your wheels, your car or engine, whatever, to help degrease it, rinse it off with water, and you're done. You're good to go. I do the same thing, but for big, bulky things, in fact, this is part of a project that I just got in, a complete exhaust system. So I've got a lot of soaking and cleaning to do. And this right here would not be very cost effective to do that. So what we're going to do is put this in a vat with some water and get things cleaned up. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I get asked do you really use those wells that you dig? Are they practical? Well, yes they are. I use this one all the time. In fact, we're going to use it to get our water to mix with our super clean. Here we go. In goes our water and our super clean. There we go. Now we've got everything in here. We're just going to let it sit. Let it dissolve that grease. Some things that are in really, really bad shape, you may have to let it set a day or two to do its job. This here isn't really that bad. Surprisingly, it looks so at the onset, but after rubbing and checking, it's really just, it's painted a black color, and there's just some exhaust residue on it. So this isn't going to be too bad. So what we'll do is we'll let it sit. I'll take it out. I'll rinse it out, get it dry, and then for my application, I've got to take this into a blast cabinet and get all the coating off. Then I put it in an oven and cook it to make sure that there isn't any grease leaching out of it. So we'll see that part. We're not going to have a time lapse of this sitting here, you watching this, but so you can see that it does degrease, it does do the job, as anybody who's used one of these products knows it will. It just takes a little bit longer than using the acetone, but good Lord, it's so much less expensive, and if you've got the time to let it sit, it's a good way to go. So I'm just cover this up, keep critters out, and go on about my day. And normally I wouldn't do this outside, but it's such a nice day. It's probably the last cold snap we're having. I want to enjoy it before it gets ungodly hot. But inside or out, you need to cover it up so it doesn't evaporate. You can use it again. Ideally, if you have enough vats or jugs around, you could just pour this in it, keep it, and then pour it back out when you need it. Well, you know those things that say later that same day? Well, here we are later that same day. And I just rubbed over it. It's funny, some of the coating that was on this thing that I need to take off anyway is coming off. And of course, this is a stainless steel rim on here, and I think this is VHT paint or something somebody did on it, and it's not prep right, so it's not going to stick. But the point of this is not to take this off. I'm going to be doing that with a blast cabinet, but the super clean is deteriorating the coating that's on here because it's not applied properly. But our thing is the grease. So what I've rubbed over it, now what we have to do is just rinse it very well, get it all of this off. Again, that's a step you do not have to do with acetone. So that's a plus in acetone's court. You don't have to rinse it. Once you've done it, it's dried and you move on. So there is an additional step. Now we're just gonna get it rinsed off real good. We're using our old cistern pump, our hand pump. Now we just let it dry. Okay, just wipe it down and let it dry. Now everybody has their own particular need. My particular application, I need to blast this and cook it to make sure the oil is all gone. I add this here because I've had some people complain that in trying to explain something, I've missed some parts of the video. So if this isn't of interest to you, you know, just ignore it. But we're going to get to the coating off this, then we're gonna cook it. Okay, again, this is something that you probably won't need to be doing, but for thoroughness to show everybody, it's been blasted, blown off and clean. Now what I do is I cook this in the oven for about an hour at 300 degrees. And if there is any grease left in this thing, it will bleed out and I'll see it. Then I get to do everything over again. Once out of the oven and cooled off, we've done some checking. I can't find any spots where we have oil residue. So it has done, Super Clean has done its job again. So now we'll finish this off by spraying it and finish this video up. Well, finally finished. Everything's coated. Here's a small section of the many things I had to soak, clean, and coat, and along with the manifold that we started with. And everything cleaned up very well. That means everything's going to coat very well. This coating is going to last a very long time. Something to mention about Super Clean, as with any product, make sure that you test an area of what you need to clean to make sure you don't have an adverse reaction. That could happen with any cleaner and coating that were never meant to get together. That goes with metals too. In fact, Super Clean, I believe, you don't want to leave it on aluminum for a long time. I think it will affect it a little bit. But just be aware of that. You can use it to clean it, just don't leave it. Spray it, clean it, wash it off, you're ready to go. Another thing that I use Super Clean for that does an outstanding job is I use it in an ultrasonic cleaner. I use it diluted, I think 8:1. I use it for small parts. Man, this stuff comes out really, really nice. So you might want to look into that. So let me just sum things up. Say I hope that maybe somebody found some of this information helpful. Maybe y'all looking for alternatives to maybe expensive and toxic acetone and getting some things cleaned up. And this might be something that you want to look at. So as usual, thanks for stopping by and good luck with your projects.